Okay, so I know most people probably won't watch this, but for those of you who do, this is about my depression. For those of you who know about it, you know that I'm fairly open about it if you ask, but this is the first time I'm really putting it out there for everyone and anyone to see. I'm kind of going to go in chronological order, so here goes. About a year ago or so, I was having a lot of issues. I had a family member pass away and several other family members or family friends that weren't doing so hot. Then I was also having some social issues that I'm really not going to get into right now, other than to say that it took up a lot of mental and emotional strain, and it started affecting other aspects of my life. Like I couldn't focus on my schoolwork until that started to slip, and I was very stressed about college apps and scholarship apps and all of that sort of stuff. A lot of you have been there. Everything sort of added up to the point where I actually became clinically depressed. Like, I would always feel tired, but I could never actually get to sleep. And then I'd hang out with, like, some of my best or closest friends and, like, wouldn't smile or laugh or have fun or be happy or anything like that. Or if I was smiling and laughing, it was just kind of me putting on a face to kind of keep it hidden from my friends for a while. And then one night, it kind of hit a boiling point where I was working on scholarship essays, and as I was about to submit them, I found out that I had done them incorrectly. Like, I had written 3 5,000-word essays, and the instructions were 5,000 characters, so then I had to go back and, like, redo them all. And looking back on it, it was an incredibly stupid thing to get so upset about, but at the time, I felt so bad about myself that it just sort of added to my feelings of failure and inadequacy and self-loathing and all of that. So I left my house to go for a walk and clear my head, and when I left, my intention was to just take a lap or two around my block and come right back and work on my essays and knock them all out of the way. But then I ended up at the railroad tracks at the back of my neighborhood, where I sat against this tin hut and cried for 10 minutes, just waiting for a train. Sorry. Luckily, my dad called me and then came and got me, because to this day, I'm not sure whether or not I would have stepped out in front of the next train that came. Since then, I've been to see 3 different counselors and a psychiatrist who put me on an antidepressant, and I've been taking them ever since. I stopped seeing my therapist before I came down to college, but I've kept taking the pills, and then it used to just be 1 pill every night, and now I take a half pill every other night, because I'm in the process of kind of weaning myself off of the antidepressants. So I'm actually, there's one of the half pills that I've already cut in half, so I'm going to take one right now, because tonight's one of my nights that I have to take it. So that's the whole medical aspect of it, but even more important than all of that was everyone who was there for me throughout all of this. So I'd like to have a special shout out to Molly Mokate, Marissa Garafalis, Taylor Calzaretta, and Mike Dressel, just because they're the friends that I talk to the most about this. That kind of helped me through it and whatnot. And there's also this other girl who I'm not going to name because we don't really talk anymore because of X, Y, and Z reasons. But if we did, I'd like to just thank her, because in so many ways she made me a much stronger person and a much better person. And because of that, even if we never end up talking again, I'll always be for her, or I'll always be there for her if and when she ever needs me. There's also TJ, who I've had the hardest time talking to just because he's my best friend, and like picturing it in reverse with him being in my situation, I wouldn't know how to handle it, and I think it'd be incredibly stressful for me, and so I didn't really, like, I had a hard time sort of putting that on him, so I just never really told him about it, but I know that if I ever needed anything, he would be there. And finally, there's my family, who have been so supportive and loving throughout this whole process, and I'm so grateful for that. And I had a breakthrough with talking about this towards the end of my senior year when I told a lot of this information to my senior AP English class as part of my exit visa project. And as the people in my class can vouch for, it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. And I ended up in tears in front of my whole class by the end of it. I'm actually kind of getting close to that now, which is not cool. But the amount of positive feedback I received was incredible. Like, people I wasn't particularly close to at that time, that I was more just kind of friendly acquaintances with, were texting me and Facebook messaging me, telling me that they were there to talk to me if I ever needed it. And I think this is one of those things where you don't really know how many people will be there for you until you give them the opportunity to be there for you. For those of you who want to know more, feel free to text me or message me or talk to me in person, and I'll talk about anything you want to know. And that's about it. So I'm going to finish here with a little statistic that about 50% of people will experience some level of depression at some point in their life. So if you've been through it, are currently going through it, know somebody who has been through it or is currently going through it, please feel free to share this with them if you think it might help. I don't know, this is just the first time I've actually built up the courage to kind of put it out there for the world to see. Thank you.